What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we are going to read an article out of Semafor. And please excuse the thunderstorm going on around me, but I have a limited amount of time to be able to make these videos and bring you some content in the hopes that it makes you think about something. And so it's apropos that there's a thunderstorm right now, because honestly, we're in the midst of a thunderstorm. Politically, globally, we are in the middle of a thunderstorm. So this is apropos. So excuse the background sound, but let's apply it. I think it's a nice little aesthetic to what we're talking about. Now, in this article for Semafor, this came out in July 8th, 2 days ago, by Benji Sarlin. This is what the White House take is on Biden's stance as far as how he views the chances of the election going his way, and how he views anyone who says otherwise. So let's dive in. Biden's last line of defense: mutually assured destruction. President Biden hasn't made much progress convincing Democrats he's still equipped to take on Donald Trump since their debate, but he's made headway on another front, making clear he will take the entire party down with him if they don't stop trying to replace him. In a letter to Congress on Monday, just as members were arriving for the first time since the debate to potentially share their grievances, Biden warned, "The question of how to move forward has been well aired for over a week now, and it's time for it to end." In a phone interview on Monday on Morning Joe, around the same time, he denounced the elites who he accused of trying to push him out. His most combative language yet. Let's not forget, Biden is a part of the elites. He is not an outsider. So for him to say the elites are coming for me, it's kind of rich, because he is the elites. "If any of these guys think I shouldn't run against me. Go ahead. Announce for president," he said. "Challenge me at the convention." The message coming from the White House is clear. Biden isn't going anywhere, and if you come after him, you'll be the one who gets blamed for undermining the party's general election chances. This is the same tactic that is always run. When Hillary lost against Donald Trump, progressives were blamed for stating the obvious, that she was a bad candidate. The DNC rigged the election, the primary, in Hillary's favor and against Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders, as much as I love his policies and as much as I love his fight, he always compromises himself for the establishment, for the status quo. And so he did it in 2016. He did it in 2020 when they came after him. He sat there and he bowed down instead of fighting for our side of the fight, which is the working people's side. Bernie Sanders is one of the best representatives for working people, and he constantly gives up. And so it's very frustrating, but it's old hat for them to sit there and say, "Oh, if I lose, it's not because I suck, it's because you suck and you didn't fall in line." Well, I'm not a guy that falls in line. Ask around. Anyone who knows me will tell you, "Oh yeah, E steps to his own drum. E doesn't fall in line." That's nonsense. And for everybody to be sitting here playing around like, "Oh, this is normal," it's not. This is very Trumpian behavior. This is very MAGA blue behavior. This is the type of crap you expect from Donald Trump, to put his own selfish reasoning above the betterment of the nation, above the people, always. And here you have Biden doing the very same thing. It's clear that he is not up to the challenge. And yet, like a little egomaniac, like a little narcissist freak, he's sitting here saying, "Oh, really? You think you're going to oust me? Okay, do it. I'm going to drag this whole damn thing down." So how important really is it to fight this Project 2025 then? Mind you, I contend it's very important to fight this Project 2025. But for them to have this attitude, how important is it? You're lying to our face because you're willing to burn the country down over your ego. Let's continue. A presidential candidate rallying supporters to stop party elites from trying to oust him is a familiar scene if you follow Donald Trump's career. What did I just say? We weren't the only ones to notice the parallels. It's very much reminded me of Trump, said one Democratic strategist after Biden's call in to Morning Joe, once a favorite Trump venue, by the way. Tactically, Biden's phoner was stealing a page out of the Trump playbook, a Republican strategist said. Over the last decade, Trump repeatedly used threats against party leaders as leverage in case they would ever try to turn on him. He threatened to run with a third party in 2016 if he felt he wasn't treated fairly, and reportedly made a similar threat during his impeachment trial after January 6th, when he announced his latest run this cycle. Prominent Republicans openly worried he would deliberately destroy the party's nominee if it was anyone but him. And, of course, anyone who opposed him could expect a nasty primary challenge. Biden's threat is similar in effect, but functionally different. He doesn't command a rabid army of supporters to weaponize against opponents like Trump, though Democrats are watching for signs of pro-Biden backlash. And he's the definition of an institutionalist and insider, not an anti-establishment rebel who could leave his party behind if he wanted to. What Biden can do is be stubborn in a way that sets up a scenario of mutually assured destruction for Democrats. So long as opponents of his nomination believe it's impossible to force him to step aside, any escalation of their criticism risks damaging him even further in November. And the worse his standing gets, the more his party is likely to suffer up and down the ballot. Democrats don't sound entirely ready to believe him for now. After all, the entire reason his critics think their more gentle appeals to him might work is that he's the kind of politician who usually does care about the health of his party and his legacy within it. Many of the elites that he decried are the kinds of elected leaders, liberal commentators, and advocacy groups he's cultivated relationships with across 5 decades. A number of Senate Democrats still sounding unwilling to concede that he'll be the nominee as of Monday night. But Biden's big advantage here is that it really is almost impossible to force him to step aside. He already won the support of the overwhelming majority of convention delegates who are required to support him. Some Democrats have politely alluded to Biden having a big decision to make, or suggested he talk with his family in the hopes of giving him space to potentially leave on his own. But if that doesn't work, the next move would be to organize members to demand he pass the torch, perhaps privately to start, and then loudly if he refuses. It's not a very appetizing prospect. If Biden really is willing to fight the Democratic Civil War, it would mean heading into convention season with key chunks of the party on the record, with doubts about their nominee and pro-Biden factions accusing them of sabotage, all while Republicans quietly sit back and munch popcorn. Biden has been working hard to line up support from Black Democrats and leaders and labor. Congressional Black Caucus Chair Stephen Horsford backed Biden Monday, setting up a potentially uncomfortable race and class dynamic to the fight as well. New York Rep. Richie Torres summed up the situation on Monday with an unusual statement, asking Democrats not to badmouth Biden on the basis of Cold War-style game theory. Regardless of where one stands on the question of President Biden's political future, the intra-party mixed messaging strikes me as deeply self-destructive, he said. Those publicly calling on President Biden to withdraw should ask themselves a simple question. What if the president becomes the Democratic nominee? The drip, drip, drip of public statements of no confidence only serve to weaken a president who has been weakened not only by the debate, but also by the debate about the debate. While it's never ideal for a party to be navigating a political hostage standoff involving their own nominee, it's not necessarily fatal. Trump won the general election in 2016 after the Access Hollywood tape dropped, even though his hold on the party's leaders and institutions was far weaker than it is now. We in the storm. And so like I said, the thunderstorm in the background is apropos. My name's Eric, you're watching Reminded. Remember, the fight's not left and right, it's up and down. It's going to take solidarity to win always. Each one teach one, get out there and reach one. And remember, there could be no union without you and I front and center. So let's go.